Good evening. This is Quianna, and today we're going to be following the evolution of Candace Owens. I'm pretty sure a lot of you heard today that Candace Owens and the Daily Wire ended their relationship, which was a very contentious one. Uh, and I'm just going to go into who Candace was in the past and her evolution as a political commentator and a journalist. Now, there's going to be a lot that I'm going to leave out of this video. This is actually just to protect my own interests because there are some topics and issues that I'm not well educated on, and I have enough scrutiny that I'm dealing with, so I don't want to come under fire for things that I have no knowledge on. So one of those things that I don't have any knowledge on is the Israeli and the Palestinian conflict. And what I mean by that is I do understand that there is a conflict that's happening right now, but I haven't educated myself on the history of what has happened in Gaza and what has happened in Israel and why these two groups are contentious and why they continue to find themselves at odds and in conflict and in war. And because I don't have any information on these two social groups and these two religious groups, I cannot give an opinion on it. So anything that I say in this video is not an attack on people who are in Israel. It is never to be seen as an attack on any religious people, whether that's the religion that's in Palestine or whether that's the religion in Israel. So therefore, I'm issuing a disclaimer that this is just tracking and following the evolution of Candace Owens and where I feel that she has found herself now. So Candace Owens, when I first was apprised of Candace Owens, when she first came on my radar, she came on my radar as RedPillBlack. And I think I was scrolling and I seen this video of Candace where she spoke very publicly about realizing that she was a conservative. And her history before she felt that being a conservative was her calling was that she had a website called Degree 180, which was very, I think maybe leftist. It was anti-conservative. And she had a lot of strong opinions about conservatives on that website. And she also had a website called Autopsy, which she created in 2016, which would have tracked the digital footprint of online bullies. And I think that Candace Owens meant well when she was trying to create Social Autopsy, but I think I'm of the opinion that it just didn't work out well. Maybe just the execution of Social Autopsy failed, and she found herself with backlash with mainly a lot of people on the left that were, I think they doxed her, those on the left doxed her, and they were going against her. And I think that it was this precise moment that Owen said, wait a minute, this is not my group. These people don't care about me. They don't care about the issues that I care about, because we know that in the beginning, Candace, most of her political issues were very democratic or left-leaning. And so when she received a lot of backlash from, um, I guess I want to say people on the left. Um, it was that moment where she really had to contemplate and reconsider her political platform and her, not only her political platform, but her political beliefs. And again, I think it was at that precise moment that Candace found herself just at crossroads, and she decided, maybe this is where I belong. She felt that possibly being a conservative was more aligned with her political beliefs and more aligned with the goals that she was trying to accomplish. Now, in the past, I've disagreed with Candace Owens. I've disagreed with her position on slavery. I've disagreed with Candace Owens on her position on modern slavery. And I still disagree with Candace Owens' position on Black America. Now, again, there are other topics and issues that Candace talks about. She talks about the Israeli-Palestine conflict. And again, I don't know enough about that conflict to make an informed judgment or an informed opinion on it. So I won't be speaking on that. But what I do know is that Candace Owens has disagreed with, or she has actually vetoed a lot of political commentary and political positions that mean so much to the Black community, and that has really kind of, I guess, set the civil rights of Blacks back some. Now, does that mean that I disrespect Candace or that I don't like her? No, I respect her and I really like her. I like her because I'm looking past this, the politics of it all, and I'm looking at a human being and a person who has forged a lane for herself. And if you remember, and of course, I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's not that long ago, of course, is that Candace Owens was often the only woman in a room full of men. She was, you know, she was the woman who owned the room. And that is very difficult to do as a woman, to actually to maintain your femininity and to still challenge opinions of men while still having grace. It's an art form. Like it's a book that she should write, actually, because I think that we all can agree that not at one time did we think that Candace Owens was, that she came across as masculine or too forceful in her approach or aggressive. And she always she learned, I think, through time, because of course she was on the Dave Rubin podcast, and I think that was just one time or two times. Of course, there was that Dave Rubin podcast where she had an argumentation with Blair White, and then she was I forget what this panel of commentators were, where she and T.I. actually got into a disagreement. And so there were just 2 points, and this was early in her career, where I saw Candace Owens really, that I saw her not being able to exercise control. And I think that this was, of course, very early on, and throughout the years, she had learned to actually exhibit grace. And I think it's just something to really acknowledge and to really appreciate, because we already know right now that it's so difficult to be, if you are a Black woman in America, if you're a Black woman generally, it's very difficult. And to hold space as a Black woman in a room full of men, especially in a room full of white men, can be daunting and it can be challenging. And at every time, she has done that with grace. But as we move forward in Candace Owens' journey, we know that she has aligned herself with, I think, people that sought to take advantage of uh, her social identity. And she aligned herself with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. And this was, I think, very lucrative for Candace because it allowed her to actually earn a living and to make a lot of money. I'm suspecting, and I could be wrong about that, but I'm of the opinion that maybe she got paid when she was going around and holding these conferences and giving these speeches that were very conservative for Turning Point USA. And while she was doing that, she held some positions that were very controversial. And we understand that in this day and age, there is little that we can say without actually giving clarification. And even when you give clarification, you still come under fire. You still do. For example, I wrote an article in The Jurist about what I believe to be morality policing in Ireland's direct provision institution. And in that paper, I felt that I balanced it out real well. Like I balanced it out with law, I balanced it out with commentary from people who sat on the European Court of Human Rights. I balanced it out with statements from the far right. And those, again, at the time, I didn't really understand that this person was far right, but they, that is coming out now that this person has really far right beliefs. And again, the person feels on the inside that they're not far right. So am I to say something different? But again, not only did I did that, I asked for a statement on the far left from a far left NGO and didn't receive a statement. So of course, I think that was where the article may have been imbalanced. But after I published that article, I found myself in the same situation that Candace has been in for the last 2 years, but of course, with a different group of people and with a different, toxic leader that is perpetuating this cycle of violence. And so it raises a question as to whether we really do have freedom of speech and whether clarification is good enough, whether forums sitting within a group of people, whether this is working, whether this changes anything. It really raises the question. Now, I believe in cross-cultural mediation. I believe in spirited debates. I believe in freedom of opinion and expression. But again, sometimes when you have an opinion, you can say something, but you suffer the consequence for that. And sometimes that consequence is not always justified. And so moving on in Candace's journey, she would then go on to align herself with PragerU, which is a very conservative think tank that often spits out talking points against Democrats and the left, and their commentary is just very conservative, and their videos are as well. And from there on, she would move to, she would go and align herself with the Daily Wire, and Ben Shapiro's platform, which I'm pretty sure was very lucrative for her. And on this platform, Candace Owens had her, well, I think before, let me back up. I think that with PragerU, Candace Owens had her own show, which was the Owen Show or the O Show. And then from there, that's when she went to the Daily Wire, where she actually got her own show as well. And this is where I think everything went wrong for Candace. Even if it didn't go wrong in the beginning, it really started to unravel here. And that is her political positions were misaligned with the Daily Wire. And we understand clearly that Candace Owens said in a video that she felt that she was being harassed for 2 years, and that this was a campaign, a consistent campaign, everyday campaign, and that she was going up against, I want to say, a very influential figure in the this conflict, this Israeli-Palestinian conflict. She was going up against a very influential figure, although I feel like that there was a lot of repression and attraction for Owens, that I felt that this person, this guy named Rabbi, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, although I felt that he had an attraction for Owens because she had a platform, it never did leave my mind that he was trying to snatch that platform away from her. And actually, there was an accomplishment there because, of course, they were consistently on Candace, where she lost her platform. Well, she finally lost her platform, and she was these comments and this campaign to remove her from the Daily Wire because her beliefs were inconsistent and in misalignment with the Daily Wire and its beliefs, excuse me, was evident. And it was evident that sooner or later that she was going to be removed from that position, or either she was going to be removed from that position, either she would have to resign from that position. It was evident that that was what was to come. And I think now what we have, interestingly, is that Candace Owens, it would appear as if Candace Owens is making her way back to the Black community. So maybe this is true, maybe it isn't, we don't know. But this is speculation on Twitterverse, and this is the commentary that is being circulated in Black media, Black Twitter, Black podcasting, is that Candace Owens went on the Joe Budden show, which was a very popular and influential podcast, and she went on The Breakfast Club, which is also a very popular and influential Black podcast. And so now it appears to society that Candace is circling her wagon back to the Black community. And whether that's true or not, we don't know. But it raises the question as to whether, how long will we allow groups to use us and to use our voice? See, this is what happened with Candace, is that Candace was only good at the Daily Wire as long as she was speaking out against the Black community. Now, whether or not her commentary on that was right or wrong, and I'm not holding a position, again, I disagree with most of her commentary, if not all of her commentary on the Black community. But of course, people would agree with her, and she would believe that her commentary is consistent and that it is accurate. And I'm not in debate about that. I'm allowing her to hold her opinion about that. But again, it raises the question as to whether, as Black women, as Black women, men, uh, even people in the gender non-conforming category, whether we will continue to allow people to abuse our voices and to use it for their own political gain. For example, like I will reiterate, is that Candace Owens was only good at Daily Wire when she was speaking negatively about the Black American community. And she was only good when she was speaking, when she held talking points that were consistent with that platform. So this was, as long as she talked about trans people, as long as she talked about immigration, as long as she talked about Black people, as long as she talked about Democrats, as long as she talked about people who weren't conservative enough, then she was okay. She was fine to continue on that platform. But when she had a break in stature, and I think that, like, this is what I will, let me write that down, I think when she had a break in stature, that, and her humanity started to seep in. Now, again, I'm not holding a position about any issue, so this should not be twisted to make it appear as if I am. But when Candace shifted her opinions to a centered position, or when it centered to a left position, or whether she didn't agree with the status quo that was being that is upheld by the Daily Wire, whether that was rightfully so or not, we could see that she has lost her platform. And now she is back to square one, where we all are. We are back to square one as Black people, that this does not work. So again, I have, and just the things that I blog about and the things that I talk about has been very fluid. But not once have I actually said anything about the Black community that would undermine it. Because we know that there's already people doing that. There's already people undermining us. And of course, we are minority in this world. So if there are already a majority of people that are undermining us as Black people, then why are we adding on to that? And so again, there has been a campaign, just like against Owens, to try and make me go out against certain Black Americans. And I have refused to do that, not because I'm afraid, but I've refused to do that because I understand that this person, one, has freedom of speech. Two, I don't always have to agree with that person is saying. And three is that as long as I can tell that the heart of the person is in the right place, and that they really mean well with their political beliefs or what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to put out into the world, there's no reason for me to go against that person. And I think that this is actually what we're missing in general with humanity, is that some people hold positions that are really, when you peel back the layers, that they are genuinely in the best interest of who they're speaking about. And some people are not articulate enough to actually express themselves in a way that does not offend. And some people intend to offend, and some people don't, again. And I think it's only when we look at what the person is talking about and examine it in its entirety, and we look at the person and we say, okay, what do I know about this person? Like, what are they trying to accomplish? What are they doing this and why? And who is this helping? Now, if it's only helping themselves, like say, for instance, no, it's not uplifting anyone else but themselves, then we can understand that that position is very empty. But when that person is trying to uplift everyone else and, of course, trying to uplift themselves as well, I think it's worth for us to examine this position. And now and again, let me clarify, I don't think that this is for us to examine all positions. So if it rises to the level of degrading treatment and punishment, if it's persecution, if it can be defined as crimes against humanity, if it can be defined as genocide, if it can be defined as aggressive acts, crimes of aggression, then no, I don't think that this is right, because everybody has human rights, and one of the core tenets of human rights is the right to life, and this right is supposed to be respected. So again, I think that Candace Owens has found herself in a difficult situation. She is rebranding herself, and I think that this journey and this experience with the Daily Wire has been eye-opening. That just honestly, let's just be honest. Sometimes you are not going to fit in with the groups that you want to fit in with. You're just not going to. And we can pretend that we are faking it. We can try and make it fit, but the shoe size is too small. And because the shoe size is too small, then this is just not going to be the right fit. And I think this is a lesson not only for Candace Owens, but a lesson for all of us, really, to prioritize where we should be in our political beliefs, in our commentary, the things that we are talking about. Again, I have consistently held a position for myself, speaking about what's happening against the Black community, and I've had people try to steer me away from that, to try and neutralize my position on that. And don't get me wrong, there is a reason to neutralize your position, of course, when it comes to gun violence, because gun violence in America, it affects us all. When it comes to the rights of the child, we know that in the United States, when a child is being harmed by a person with official capacity in an official position, we understand clearly that there is probably little that they can do to bring awareness to that harm. So we must rally for in support of all children that are being harmed. And again, maybe there's some positions that I haven't been very consistent on, or maybe I haven't talked enough about, and that's because just the data is not there, and I'm not educated in certain groups of people, such as, for example, the non-binary community. I'm not educated in that specific community, so there's not a lot of data there, and I feel like people with lived experience as not being non-binary, they should be the people to actually speak out against the harms that's happening to them, because of course it gives them a voice. And other people are not replacing their voice, it's very important for them to speak out in unison against the harms that are happening to them. So, but as far as what's happening with police violence against Black Americans, when it deals with racism in the United States, when it deals with discrimination, violations of the Convention on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, we understand very clearly that as Black people that we must remain steadfast in supporting our group, our social group, our ethnic group, our racial group, because again, there's already enough people that are trying to tear us down, as Candace has witnessed. And unfortunately, there is a phenomenon that has made it very easy for Candace to be deplatformed from her position. I'll probably talk about that in another video. But I think in essence, what's important is that I think now Candace has some time to really reflect on her life and to reflect on her positions as a political commentator, and to really align herself with positions that she truly believes in. And I think that's important for us to do. That's important for us all to do right now, is to take a step back and to really think about, okay, what is it that we really do believe?